Hey, what's poppin', guys? Sizzle here. Today we're taking a look at MP9 skins. We're starting off with the stock MP9 skin, which is hella scratched up in the front and even in the middle and the back. It looks really, like, not used, but just intentionally scratched. Like someone's cat came up and, like, tore into this weapon for no real reason. Doesn't look horrible, but definitely one of the most average stock skins out there. Probably just a solid, like, high D tier, if I had to say. Then onto the first, real skin, which is our MP9 Dry Season. It's a word, the skin I've never heard of, and I can see why. This is god-awful. Probably the worst possible set of colors to be used on a skin, along with the worst design I've ever seen on an actual, like, pattern. All these random dots look completely out of place and bad, and all the stripes in the background look even worse. Honestly, the dots might even be preferable, and they already look horrible. Probably one of the worst skins in CS. Easily, like, low, like, as low as you can get in F tier. That's where this thing belongs. Probably, like, should have its own tier. Anyway, next up we have the MP9 Sand Dash, which, yeah, it's like a sandy MP9. I mean, it has this weird, like, paint stripe thing that you see in a lot of old skins going across it, but it's not, like, that noticeable, because it kind of blends in with the rest of the skin. Probably slightly better than stock. That's about all I can say. It's like a sandy skin, right? But it's not completely sandy. Like, those paint stripes detract from it. If it was purely just a sandy skin, honestly would just be a C tier, like a solid C tier. It's a very good skin other than those random paint stripes. It's only a D tier still because those paint stripes are not too visible, if that makes sense. Then we have the MP9 Storm, which, yeah, it's a very clean-ish skin. I mean, you're not going to get in any good conditions. I think it's float capped, but pretty clean skin. Okay-ish colors. Nothing crazy, nothing bad. And honestly, the main color for that you're gonna see is the front right here, and I mean, it's a good color. It's a good color to see. I'd say, in line of seeing that, this is a high C tier. Unintentional pun. Anyway, next up we have the MP9 Green Plaid, which is supposed to have, like, a plaid shirt design. It really does not look good. Sorry, this just does not. Like, if anyone really likes this, it's really dull, boring, and just doesn't look great other than maybe the back handle, but you don't see that, so that does nothing to do with anything. Yeah, probably worse than stock, but not by much, so I'm gonna say like a low D tier. Assuming it's this one. Then next up, we have the MP9 Slide, which, interesting name. Looks bad, man. It looks like a stock MP9 where someone literally smeared their shit across it. It's not really what you like to see. I don't want to see this ever. I hope no one uses this going forward. It looks really, like, I don't know why this is in the game, honestly. lowest F. Like, I thought we already saw the bottom of the barrel earlier. This is definitely the new bottom of the barrel. I apologize to the earlier skin. Then we have the MP9 Army Sheen. It's a glowy camo skin, which kind of defeats the point of being a camo skin, because the whole point of a camo skin is to, blow in, kind of look like your surroundings, and when you're glowing this much, you don't look like your surroundings, so it kind of defeats the point of a camo skin. Probably an F tier, if I had to say. Question is, can I actually find it? Which is a lot harder than you might think. It's either this one right here or this one. I'm gonna go with this one. It's a higher F tier than the other stuff in F tier, but this is still worse than stock. Then next up we have the MP9 Orange Peel, which, yeah, it's got like random stripes all around it with a really nice color orange. Horrible pattern with good colors, so for me that's probably just a high D tier. It's really not much more to say about it. Then next up we have the MP9 Old Roots, which are final industrial grade skin, which actually looks okay. I mean, you just have like vines and stuff going across the skin with a relatively bright color scheme that kind of draws attention to itself. It's nothing crazy, but it's definitely not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Probably a low C tier, right above D tier. Then we have one of the all-time classics, the MP9 Hot Rod, I don't think most of them look this bad, but maybe they do. This looks really scratched up. Maybe I've just been getting lucky and seeing all like the really good hot rods in the game, but it is a really, really good color red. Just a really nice, clean red finish for the most part. All these scratches are pretty bad, but hopefully you don't see them as much in game. I don't really know, and it shines really well into a nice other color of red. It's just a really, really nice color. Depending on what actual, like how this actually looks in the game, it could easily be an S tier. But if it has all these scratches, it's still definitely a solid A tier. Then next up we have the MP9 Dark Age, which, yeah, interesting design. It's got some symbols and stuff that probably mean something. I think there's some crosses in there I see right here. Like, is that the thing on a compass? I don't really know what that is. But yeah, it's got an interesting design. It's pretty flashy, not in the way that you expect the word flash to be used, but because it's literally flashing like every time you move it. And it actually, even though half of it still is stock, like the back here and the mag are still stock, the stock design actually works with the rest of this camo really well. I'd say, you know, it's a middle C tier type of deal. Definitely not as good as the Storm, in my opinion. I like the cleanliness of the Storm, but this definitely is a really solid skin. Then next up we have the MP9 Setting Sun. Yeah, something I don't think I've ever heard of or seen used, and I don't really know why. It's got a bunch of like radiation symbols all across it of altering patterns. You have a black background to an orange background to a black background, and then, you know, the symbols change from orange to black to orange as well. Generally, really nice color orange. It complements the black really well, and there's a lot going on here, but also not a lot. It's really simple yet complex, and I actually really like how this looks. Just comparing this to the screenshot of the weapon I'm looking at on CSGO Stash, it actually seems like it's pattern-based, so you could maybe even get some really cool patterns on this thing. Yeah, I mean, it's really clean, really unique. I don't know why this isn't used more. Maybe it's like really expensive because it's old or something. I actually kind of like this one a lot, probably just under the hot rod, if I'm being honest, but this one works a lot better with wear. Like, this has scratches on it, but I didn't even notice them at first because the skin itself kind of blends those scratches in for you, which is always a good thing. Then we have the MP9 Pandoras Box, which, yeah. You got a bunch of little monsters all around the skin. They glow for some reason. I don't know why. I don't think they should. That was a mistake by whoever made this. But yeah, you got a bunch of monsters doing a few little different things. You have this little happy guy, like, looking up. You got this little happy guy looking down. You got this kind of, I don't know if he's scared or just shocked guy, but he's doing something with his hands. This guy's definitely shocked at the front here. Right, there's you know, a little bit of personality to each of them, but they're all still really similar in the shape that, you know, Pandora's Box generally is pretty similar. I kind of like the design. The colors are definitely really good. And blue is a really nice color, and they have nice colors of blue here. Definitely a high B tier. Possibly might move this up to A tier depending on how good the rest of the MP9s are. Then we have the MP9 Music Box, which is trying what that one Vine skin from earlier is trying, except it's shiny, which I think is a negative. I think that draws attention to this. It also doesn't apply to the whole skin, which I thought the other one did. Maybe I'm wrong with that as well, but yeah, this is just kind of an inferior version of what we saw earlier, unless you really like the shininess of it. I'd say, you know, since the other one was a low C tier, I think this is a high D tier, if I'm being honest with you. Still better than stock, probably, but that's about all I can give credit for. Then we have the MP9 Dart. I feel like I've always seen this one used, and I can kind of see why. It's basically stock, but with a really clean top. The top actually fits the rest of the weapon. Yeah, it's just a cleaner version of stock, which was already okay. Having a cleaner version is definitely really nice. I'm gonna say probably either right above this thing in the middle or right below it. I'm gonna put it above it for now, but it really could go either way. I don't have like it's not like a guaranteed opinion. Then the most other one I always see all the time is the MP9 Deadly Poison. Like, I literally see this every other game whenever I do see an MP9, and you know, I can kind of see why. It's a pretty clean, generally gray skin with a bit of like a nice color of lime green kind of mixed in. It's got some interesting designs to it. I think it's supposed to be like a spider or something at the bottom, kind of signify, you know, the poison virus thing. But otherwise, I mean, this is the type of thing you'd see on like an airsoft gun or something. That's kind of what the design reminds me of. Maybe I'm wrong with that. I mean, feel free to tell me off in the comments or whatever, but yeah, I'd say it's pretty solid. Probably low B tier. Just generally pretty clean, nice colors, just good all around. Unlike the MP9 BioLeak here, which is half stock in the back, and the part that isn't stock literally reminds me of either toxic waste or barf, both of which aren't exactly pleasant to look at. So for me, this is just a pretty simple, like below stock, but still D tier type of skin. I prefer stock to how this thing looks. Then we have the MP9 Sand scale, which is a shiny sand camo. Shiny sand camos kind of defeat the point of the camo, like I've said before. So, you know, we got another F tier skin, although this one's a higher F tier than the other camo skin, because sand camos generally look better than other camos. Then we have the MP9 Black Sand, which it's like a sand camo, but just a real sand camo. But it's supposed to be like a high-tech sand camo, so it's got like the black finish at some parts and camo at the other. Yeah, probably just a high D tier maybe. I think it's above the little shiny fine one. That's about it. Then we have the MP9 Capillary, which, you know, you have like the heart veins kind of going around the weapon. The colors of heart veins are nice, like the red and blue they use are nice, and then the general actually background finish is what I really like about this. The general gray-black finish is really clean, and the rest of the skin kind of works with the faint red and blue color scheme you see elsewhere, and then this little thing right here is kind of a nice detail in the back. It's just generally alright. I mean, it's nothing crazy. Probably it has like the same appeal as the dart, but it's a bit cleaner in my opinion, so I think it's kind of a low B tier, if I had to say. Then next up we have the MP9 Modest Threat, which is this. I really don't know what to say about this thing. I don't know what it was exactly going for. This looks like it was pulled out of a junkyard, and not really in the good way. Like, this looks like this was pulled out of the junkyard and not touched since it was pulled out of the junkyard. Unlike a lot of other skins, which like they came out of the junkyard and then some like kind of crazy guy worked on it and made it all cool or whatever. This just looks like it was pulled out of the junkyard. Someone threw this in the trash and left it there. Maybe it had potential before it was thrown in the trash, but afterwards it just has like a decent color scheme kinda. So probably just a high D tier. Not horrible, but just really has nothing going on, and it's kind of dull for the most part. Not the best color orange either. Then we have what I would love in like perfect condition, the MP9 Dozer. Really nice color yellow. Generally a really clean finish, but also I know this is a really hard skin to get with a clean finish. It's like the whiteout, but yellow. I mean, I love it. I don't know what else to say. It's just such a clean finish, such a good color, easy S tier. If you happen to be rich enough to afford a good quality one, I would definitely recommend picking one up. Then next up, we have the MP9 Stained Glass, which, I mean, yeah, it's stained glass, but if it was all blue with a slight bit of red. I mean, it's a nice color blue. It works well with the lighting, and generally it looks just like a nice blue weapon. You don't really notice the stained glass though, which was the whole point of this. I'd say it belongs under the Pandoras Box for that exact reason. Because with the Pandoras Box, you can kind of actually see the design there, and also see the nice colors of blue. This one, you only really see the blue, but it is a nice color of blue, so just for that, it's a B tier. Then there's what I currently use, which is the Hypnotic, and I don't use this because it's particularly good, although the version I have is a bit nicer than what you see here, because this is a pattern-based one where you can have different waves in different places. I have the Hypnotic because it combos with a sticker I unboxed, and that's literally it. I have like a little Hypnotic surfer guy that kind of works well with it. And even then, that's kind of debatable. The actual skin itself, though, I mean, pretty simple, white and black design for the most part, and really shiny. Which was another benefit for my little sticker craft, because the sticker does not shine, but the skin actually does, so like it kind of, the contrast is a lot more visible, and it kind of highlights the sticker a bit more. But besides that, the actual skin itself is really not that good. I only have it because of that specific sticker. It's like the only sticker craft you can actually do with this thing. The only thing that's nice maybe is the color scheme and just how bright it is, and for that it's going to be a low C tier. Probably above the Vine thing, but below the other simple stuff in here. It's just a really bright skin, pretty much. I mean, you can see the pattern obviously pretty well, but it's not like a particularly great or bad pattern or anything. And it's not particularly clean either. Then next up we have the MP9 Rose Iron, which, yeah, I don't know what this has to really do with iron, but there's a really nice rose in the back with a bunch of gold vines coming out on a generally black background. Most of this weapon is just improved stock with this kind of rose budding out from the back here. Looks generally pretty solid, pretty clean, works well with lighting. Honestly, probably a low A tier. I really like how this looks and the general simplicity of it. Then we have the MP9 Ruby Poison Dart, which looks more like magma than Ruby Poison Dart, whatever that's supposed to mean. And yeah, I mean, it just looks like magma's, crawling around your skin, except it's really shiny for no reason. Kind of actually takes a lot away from this skin. I think it would have done better without all the shininess. And it also only applies to this front part of the skin, and the back is kind of noticeably different, doesn't work as well with it. It's not completely horrible, but it really doesn't have too much going on. I'd probably put this under the Hypnotic. Yeah, I'll put up the Hypnotic below the Dart, but I still think the Dart's a bit more clean. Then next up we have the MP9 Goo. This is the thing I always see sticker crafts, and I don't know why, but it really does work with sticker crafts. Like, if you ever wanted an MP9 to try sticker crafts on, this thing is weirdly good with a lot of stickers. I don't know how to explain why, though. The actual weapon itself, I mean, it's like a decent color black of like goo covering most of the weapon, and the background is that same nice color of the MP9 Storm. This is honestly just like a cooler version of the MP9 Storm. It's not like particularly clean or anything. Honestly, it's probably a little bit less clean. But the fact that like the wear matters, that you can actually get like a good wear of this, and that the wear matters a bit less on here, is a really big positive. And for me, that actually boosts it up to probably above the Capillary and even the Poison Dart. I don't know why I like this thing so much, but I think it's pretty solid in the middle B tier. Then we have the MP9 Mount Fuji. I used to have one of these for a little bit. I might still have one in a storage container. I mean, that's exactly what it describes. It's Mount Fuji with like a little red sun and birds. It is actually slightly pattern dependent, I think, like based on where your birds and mountain and whatnot get placed, but it's generally around here for the most part. And I mean, yeah, it's a solid design, nice solid color scheme, generally looks okay, but honestly, probably above the Poison Dart, below the Goo, if I had to say so myself. Someone who's used it before. It's alright. It's alright, it's nothing crazy though. Then we have like the most expensive one, because it's using so many trade-ups, the MP9 Wild Lily. It's actually a decent design too, which is why it's so unfortunate that so many of these are being used in trade-ups. But yeah, I mean, it's a really, really vibrant skin with a very solid design of, as the skin suggests, some wild lilies kind of growing across it. I like the colors in this, I like the design, everything was placed really well, and it just looks pretty nice across the board. I'm gonna say this is probably under the Hot Rod for me. I'm actually gonna move the Hot Rod up to 8 S tier, but it's a lower S tier. The Bulldozer stands well above it. It's just so fucking clean. I love that thing. But this is definitely a solid A tier skin. It's just really unfortunate that it's so expensive. Then we have the MP9 Airlock, which, yeah, it's trying to be both an HD skin and a really nice clean skin, and it's kind of pulling off neither. Right? Like, it's trying to have, you can see the inner workings of it, and you can see all these, like, high-tech, like, textures and everything all over. But it also wants to have the nice cleanliness of the colored white from the whiteout, except it doesn't have the right color white, and, there's really not that much going on here. It's not particularly bad or anything, but it's definitely just kind of middle of the barrel. Probably below or above the Storm. It's right around there, though. Solid C-tier skin. It doesn't really touch on stuff like the Poison Dart and whatever. And next up, we have the MP9 Hydra, which is taking sweet time loading. But yeah, I mean, you got a Hydra growing out of the middle of the weapon, a pretty interesting green background, and even like a green little toxic snake going down the bottom here, which is kind of interesting because it kind of leads into the Hydra, so it's kind of like the other skin, that reactor one, where it kind of inverts the colors between the parts. It also has, it's kind of cool because the little trigger was actually colored in to almost look like fangs from the Hydra, which I think is kind of a decent detail. But yeah, I mean, pretty solid skin. Nothing crazy, obviously. I mean, it's not like amazing skin, but it definitely is not bad. I don't think anyone can really call this design here bad. The colors are good, the design is pretty solid. I think it's a pretty solid skin, very solid, low A tier, if I had to say so myself. Then next up we have the MP9 Food Chain, which I don't think I've ever heard of or seen before. It doesn't even want to load in, so I'm not sure if we'll ever see it. There it is. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen this, but it's got the same... I think this is actually the design from the Hyper Beast, if I'm not mistaken. But it's kind of modified, where it's like, you know, big red guy in the back, eating this orange guy, eating this yellow guy, eating this green guy, eating the blue guy, eating the purple guy. He's then also being eaten by these little screaming guys at the bottom here. A lot of colors on it. Pretty interesting design. I mean, this is something that definitely grabs your attention. And then you have this arrow also coming off of the big guy in the back here, which makes me think he's being hunted as well by this little purple thing that's like off screen pretty much. Interesting design. Not particularly great though. Like, I think the stuff like the Hydra and the Black Iron stuff is a bit cleaner. But honestly, this probably goes between Mount Fuji and Goo for me, because it's just such a variety of nice colors, and the design isn't exactly bad. Like, I could see why people might like this and use this. I'm definitely not gonna fault you if you think this is the best MP9 skin, and you really do personally like it. It's just not really for me. And then our final skin is the only red MP9 in existence, the MP9 Starlight Protector from the new Dreams and well, not new, I guess, anymore. Feels new though, the Dreams and Nightmare collection. Really nice white finish. This is the type of white you'd love to see on like a whiteout or something, except it gets a bit darker toward the back for some reason, which I guess kind of draws your attention to the front, which is a good thing here. The parts that aren't white have a really nice black and gold finish, and then obviously the central thing that everyone would be looking at is this really like intricate and well done like rainbow unicorn thing. I can see why a lot of people might like this one. I think other than the unicorn, it's a really nice finish, and then the unicorn is just kind of a nice detail on top, although I might have honestly liked this a bit more if it just had this white coloring in the front across the whole rest of the weapon and kept the gold and black otherwise. But I think that's just me personally, because I really like just solid color skins, for the reason I love the Bulldozer so much. But this actually is one of those reds where I think it actually deserves to be a red. It's really well done, probably about the hot rod for me, because while the hot rod might be clean, it's the shininess of the hot rod actually kind of detracts from it a little bit for me, but not that much. I think this is easily an S tier skin. I really like the look of this thing. It's just clean all around. You have kind of the benefits of some skins are really intricate designs, and they're generally intricate designs across the whole weapon. And then other skins are just really clean with a clean design and really nice colors. And this is kind of the best of both worlds. You get a really nice design with some really clean, just other parts of the weapon, and it works together really well. But yeah, that's it for MP9 skins. Hopefully you guys enjoyed looking at these as much as I did, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.